And now is the time for questions.
Bruna, can you tell the audience what happened at Mars?
Mars is a $60 billion company. It employs 120,000 people. It's a huge company that actually is very American in the way to do it. And there are two divisions in Mars. The first one thought I was a socialist, maybe because my French accent didn't help. I don't know. The second president actually really believed in this, and because he understood actually the importance of robustness. It's because actually business is not just about delivering top line or bottom line. It's also about being able to go through different crises, okay? And now, I'm speaking to like many CEOs these days, and one of the common themes I have with them is that they are no longer focusing just on profitability and growth. They are scared that their business might be able to go through the next crisis. And so developing robust business model is critically important. And to respond to your question, Misha, we started in the pet food business. Mars is very big in making pet food, like food for cats and dogs. It's a $30 billion business. How many of you have a cat or a dog here in the audience? Okay, you're most likely clients of Mars actually, because they own 60% of the market share. Pet ownership, dog ownership, cat ownership is related to human well-being. The relationship between cat and dog, and it's actually, we discovered over time that it is actually, the pet ownership is a source of well-being, mental health, human health. If it's a good way, it's a good way you like, but most of the time. And eventually, so we started, instead of just positioning the business as a source of making food, we started to say, well, okay, what is the biggest pain point, biggest problem that exists in this ecosystem of pet ownership? And guess what? We discovered that the highest pain point was the rate of suicide among veterinarians. Number one. Actually, the veterinarians is one of the top professions for suicide rate. So a topic which was vaguely related to pet food, right? And eventually we said, is there something we can do about it as a business? Can we do something about it? That was the beginning of a complete change of strategy, moving from pet food to pet care, to pet health, to eventually human well-being through pet ownership. And nowadays, there are 40,000 veterinarians on the payroll of the Mars business. And it moved to like a small pet food business to an ecosystem that actually provide a whole suite of services and products to the pet ownership. Solving this problem eventually led to a business which not only grew faster than the chocolate business, but also became more profitable. And there is also one thing I like to finish with. You see, because it's easy to copy a product. It's easy to copy a strategy. It's impossible to copy a relationship. It's impossible to copy a network of relationship. And when you develop your company, your society, your city through developing mutual relationship, I can tell you during a period of a crisis, you know where the real value is.
Do you think that your model of mutuality actually helps to reduce burnout in organizations and in individuals? And if so, how?
The answer is yes, because one of the source of one of the top 2 or 3 source of burnout is the lack of meaningful work, like the lack of purpose. Number one. Second one is usually the difficult relationship you have with your line manager. Yeah. And the third one is also the fact that there is no upward mobility. Okay, so you're stuck in where you are. And then you can add on top of that loneliness, etc. But the 3 components actually are the 3 components of what we call human capital. And essentially, when we are developing policies and practice to actually that address this kind of issues, and we are measuring it, and we are actually incentivizing the manager, for instance, of a unit or the head of a unit to say, well, how did your human capital evolve for the last 12, 15 months? And they know they are actually that their career depends on their capacity to create human capital. That's the way actually to address one of these issues. And by the way, when you do this, the company outperform.
Yes.
First of all, thank you for sharing your vision. My name is Yes Khasson. Listen very carefully, and I see the title, The Society Which Will Become. So one question is, I ask myself, what are you just society we can become? And also, what is the society we want to become? Talking about the motivation.
The basic notion, I will go to the basic notion. The basic notion for any human being, and you don't need to be a big researcher to know that, is that in order for people to feel good about their life, have meaningful life, there's first of all, there's a Maslow pyramid, right? So there's a basic which we all can agree on: the shelter, the sleep, and everything. All of us sleep deprived want to agree that we need more sleep for that. Then comes the next levels. Every other political ideology, and I wouldn't call that a political ideology, I would call that a philosophy more than a political ideology, but every other political ideology put at the focus either a personal or a collective. Reality of human being is that we need both, and we need both equally. A lot of things are either or. You actually need the end, right? So what we're talking about is how you bring together both the personal needs and the collective needs, and that unfortunately hasn't been done now, and the focus in each ideology moves from one to another. So I think until there is a proper proposition which is measurable, and there is a certain roadmap to go through, until you bring together both, the society cannot be just, the society cannot be equal. What we suggest is the idea that brings both equally.
How did you motivate the people themselves to get on board with these ideas?
I was expecting this question, actually. Thank you. Funnily enough, it started with training 20 people. And we carefully chose the people from the public sector, from the associative sector, and from the business sector. And we were training them. And we're training them about how you eventually build an ecosystem of relationship, actually, which are bringing together resources to address a problem. And I'm very pleased because I can share that now. The company Airbus signed an agreement with the city of Marseille to say we want to be part of it because we see a benefit actually in raising the level of education, like in a sense through the local universities, in order to hire a higher level of people, actually, from the workers to the engineers.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
So in Marseille, for example, what we see right now is that there was an education, and then there was a workforce, but there was a huge discrepancy between what people were taught and what the needs were and the numbers. So just by understanding that the pain point was the education, which was not relevant, started to educate people differently, and the crime rate goes down, and the violence goes down, and unemployment goes down. So that's the.
So I know in some companies you need up KPIs that measure the financial and the results. And in some companies we also have OKR. Something that you measure people happiness or how they don't want to leave the company. So this is the KPIs that you want to create for society, for education, for something like this.
It's all about recognizing that we are who we are in the eyes of the others. Actually, relationship matters. So in a sense, yes, we are very close to this kind of well-being at work, but we don't do it just to look good, right? We just don't do it just to fix a problem that actually our system has created. We believe actually that it's possible from the outset to create organizations which actually are delivering this kind of holistic value.
I partly didn't understand something. I want to ask you if Mars company, which you said is 60% of the pet food market, has it ever helped other pet food companies? You've talked about values that helped you profit, which as I see is really good marketing. Can you tell me something about values that made you lose money, but you still stuck to the values?
Yeah. Actually, the answer is yes to both. I helped design a tender project, which essentially is a model by which you choose your supplier. Okay, where I designed it in such a way that if we have 4 companies pitch for a contract with Mars, we would pick the best one, but we would remunerate it with the second one. See what I mean? So it's a way actually to lose money, because eventually you get eventually you pay your supplier a higher fee, so it's less good profitably. But by doing this, what we managed to develop is actually you are building long-term relationship, which in the long run is actually a way to stabilize your supply chain. We started this concept probably in the most hostile environment. I mean, developing a mutual economic model for a company like Mars in the US, I can tell you, it's not an easy journey, right? But the fact that even the most capitalistic model actually accepted the superiority of a model based on mutual relationship versus transactional relationship shows actually that a city is actually a bit easier to accept, and a nation even more.
I'll give you an example of the museum. When we built the museum, we had a narrative which mentioned everyone involved. Okay, we have the board which had representatives from all possible groups and all possible sectors and everything. And what saves the situation when you have so many players is that you have to agree to a common narrative. You have to agree to what the country needs to look like, what the people need to look like. Then what happens is not the ego drives, but actually everybody has the place in the picture. Now, it's not without attention, because in the museum you will find it's everyday conversation here, because some group that deals with that more than I do, but some group will come and say that they're underrepresented. There's not enough talking about them, okay? Everybody. As long as it's everybody who feels a little bit, squeezed, we're good. Okay, because if somebody feels that they're the only ones here, then it means that others feel underrepresented. So what I'm saying is, company and cities' purpose is more difficult than for the nation actually. But the moment you establish this is the purpose where you want to, when you want to be, then for each sector there can be a narrative how they fit into the story. Unless there is that, it's always going to be a survival of the fittest, one against the other, with the winner takes it all approach. So you really need this narrative to get there, and that's the purpose.
Bruno, Ina, thank you so much. Thank you for answering. And again, if you have questions, suggestions, want to take part, now it's up to you. Thank you.
And thank you that you chose to be here tonight. We know how crazy life is, so thank you.